Cincinnati's back in the orange and black. See the natty on the map, baby, tell me where you at. In the jungle, who they bringing it back to the jungle. And the game day, yeah, the jungle's back. Got the natty pack in the orange and black.
Welcome to Week 7 of the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network. Brought to you by Gridiron Mo, a new interactive football app where you get to call what you think the offense or defense should do during a live NFL game and see what all other fans across the nation have called. Check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. As always, I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and I want to welcome in my co-host, Joe Kelly. How you doing tonight, Joe?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. When you're 6-0, you can walk around the city on your tippy toes, man, and wear all your orange and black, and you know the city is fired up, man. So it's a good time to be a Bengal fan right now.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. The Bengals went to Buffalo last week, Rich Stadium, beat the Buffalo Bills 34-21 to go to 6-0, as you said, dropping Buffalo to 3-3. What was your takeaways on the offense on it?
Our offense, they did what I expected them to do. I think we both predicted they would score at least 30 points or more. I think you were closer than we were. But our offense, it's clockwork. We have I say we have weapons. It's going to be hard for other defenses to match up with us when we go out in our spread offense, when we flex the tight end out, when we have Giovanni and Jeremy Hill in at the same time, and Giovanni goes out. It's hard. It's a hard matchup. I don't care what kind of defensive scheme that you have. It's a hard matchup. And right now, our offense, those guys are playing with a lot of confidence. But that red rifle is playing with confidence. He's playing with a little swag. He's playing with a little chip on his shoulder. Because, you know, when you look at it, he's been getting it bad. And if you're a true football fan and you see the body of work that he has done over his career in his first 5 years, his first 4 years, he pretty much broke every bingo quarterback record. He's the first quarterback in Bengal history to get the Bengals to 3 back-to-back playoff appearances. So when you look at the body of his work, the kid has been pretty good. That first round exit in the playoffs is really it has been a stigma, and I think that's really the only stigma that he's really had to deal with. And I think he's coming out. I think he's being so confident in Hugh Jackson's offense. You look at him; he's making really great choices. He's not forcing the ball and then throwing it up there and giving the defensive backs an opportunity to pick the ball off. When the guys are covered, he's either taking off or he's throwing it away. So right now it's about the choices that he's making, his progression. He's going through his progression. He's putting the ball in places where his receivers can throw the ball. And we have to give credit to our offensive line. I don't think he was sacked last week.
The offensive line for Buffalo, 3 of the 4 Bills defensive linemen have been in a Pro Bowl, and the 4th, Jerry Hughes, probably will be at some point. He didn't get touched at all out of the 6 games this year. They've given up 6 sacks. I think 2 of them were to the Ravens and 4 were to Seattle. But this last game, even Dalton said, I saw Dalton on his pregame or postgame press conference talk about he wasn't even touched the whole game hardly. I think I only remember him really being knocked down one time after throwing a pass.
Yes. And like I said, that's front four. That's a good front four, and I think it bodes well for our offensive line. Their confidence, because the Seattle game was kind of tough, but they bounced back and they played against a really formidable defensive line, and they held their own. They more than held their own. They gave Andy time to go through his progression. We were seeing some holes open up in the run game. I think they were excited about the play. I think the only disappointing part of the offensive line, unfortunately, was that a post-game interview. I don't know if you've seen it, where a couple of the guys weren't totally dressed. So other than that, I think our offensive line, they played well.
Yeah, they show them walking into the locker room with their asses hanging out. I saw that.
Yeah.
And my wife's sitting there going, ooh, why can't they have people other than offensive linemen do that?
Yeah. Where's AJ? Where's Jeremy? You know?
Yeah. Anybody that doesn't have a big ass, like, yeah, a big floppy ass.
You know, so,
the bad thing is this, though, and I think AJ McCarron's girlfriend or wife, whatever she is, touched on it a little bit. Could you imagine if they were in a female locker room and that happened?
Oh, it would be an uproar.
Yeah, you'd have fired the cameraman, you'd have fired the director, you'd have fired the guy doing the interview.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's something, it's a touchy subject. It's a subject, I know, I want to say, I think I was with New York in the early 90s when they first started allowing the females to come in right after the game and come in and, you're down there showering. But you knew, to be respectful, to be professional.
I thought the first time was Sam in Seattle in 1989.
Yeah, right around that. Yeah, right around that time.
Yeah, because remember he made the big stink about it.
Right. You're right.
And he's probably sitting back right now saying, "I told these people."
I told you. It was eventually going to happen. So you have to open up the conversation in order to at least allow the guys to come in and shower. It wouldn't be fair to I think they run into a situation where, hey, it wouldn't be fair to make a female reporter wait and all the male reporters get the immediate after effect, guys right after game, so there will be some discussion about that, but in order to be able to rectify that situation, the only way you can say is, hey, give these players an allotted time to get showered. So I don't think guys were being a guy. Hey, show my ass. But
yeah.
So if it was females, it would definitely been you would have some people protesting and. There would be a definite national topic of discussion this week.
Yeah, plus I'd have watched it more than once, Joe.
Oh, yeah. It would have got about 100,000 views.
Rewind and pause. That's what DVRs are for.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. But, it was, I laughed at it. I know a lot of guys are pretty much laughing at it. But, it touches a subject that can be testy if you're want to start talking about male and female access, reporters accessing locker rooms immediately after a game where guys, because there is no private time. You're literally I remember literally coming off the field, and by the time you're in the locker room, you have, I don't know, maybe a minute or so for a coach to say a couple words. And then you're besieged by reporters, and they're in there. So, they're in there the time that you're taking your equipment off, going to take a shower and coming back and getting dressed. So they're in there the entire time, man. So, it's a discussion to be talked about. Like I said, I don't think it'd be a huge topic because it's guys and I don't. It definitely is different, if it was a female basketball team or a volleyball team or something like that. So.
All right, let's get back to the game. On offense, the thing that impresses me about Dalton is this is a game, A.J. Green, I think, only had 3 catches. I think in the past, Dalton's gotten a lot of trouble because he's tried to force the ball to Green. He had 3 different receivers score touchdowns again. And this last week, just like every other week, it seems like somebody new comes up and does something big for the team. And Ryan Hewitt made a couple really nice plays, blocked really well again. So, you want to talk a little bit about Ryan Hewitt?
Yeah, he's a guy that has been under the radar, so to speak, with Eifert playing lights out, playing as well as any other tight end in the league. You kind of forgot about Hewitt in there, and he's one of those guys. He's that Stanley Wilson kind of guy that does all the dirty work and doesn't get a lot of praise or accolades for the work that he puts in every week. But he was put in a position to go out and make some plays, and he was open. And the best thing about it, when Andy threw the ball to him, he made some really good catches. They all weren't easy catches. They were sometimes they were critical catches and critical situations. He blocked well. So it's that right there just makes our offense scary. When you have this backup tight end who's able to go down and make plays down the field. We're not talking about just 5-yard curl up in the middle, sit there and you're that fourth, fifth outlet. You were targeted, at certain routes, and he was able to, get open and make some great catches. And I don't think he's on Eifert's level, but when you have that, when you're able to have your backup tight end, halfback, fullback, all the different positions that he plays, when he's able to make plays, and then you still have AJ, you still have Jones, Sanu, Giovanni, Jeremy. You have those weapons. It makes it hard. And then when you have that offensive line blocking as well as they did in protecting Andy, I know our offense can play as well as any offense in the league when they're clicking like that. And we played against a decent defense, but an above average defensive line, and our offense, put 34 points on the board. I thought, if it had to come down where our defense couldn't stop them, I thought our offense probably could have put a couple more touchdowns. I think we could have easily scored, in the 40s if need be. I think we got a little conservative because the game we had a huge lead, and I think he was calling some safe plays later on in the game. But our offense definitely got an A for last week's game.
All right, so we'll transition to the defense. Some things that concerned me was LaShawn McCoy, 5.3 yards a carry. It seems like we're still having a little bit of trouble with the run. The good thing is when you put points up that quick, it kind of negates the run right there because teams got to play catch-up. Defensive line-wise, Michael Johnson, to me so far, looks more like the Michael Johnson in Tampa Bay last year than he does the one in Cincinnati 2 years ago.
Yeah. Exactly.
Won it a few times this year. We've had trouble with the tight ends. Charles Clay and Chris Gregg made a lot of plays. What's your take on all that?
Concern. I would say concern. When I look at the top teams, I look at the undefeated teams, I still think we can compete with those guys. But in order, when you're looking at Super Bowl caliber defense, a Super Bowl caliber team, your defense cannot give up the kind of plays that our defense gave up. Buffalo came out of the game and just played smash mouth and marched the ball down the field the first drive like it wasn't nothing. Look like I'm looking back and like, oh man, this can't. We got the black quarterback, EJ Manuel, and he marched his team down there with no resistance. Then you start looking at what McCoy was able to do. Like I said, over 5 yards rushing per game. I think we definitely as a defensive unit, the coaches, we have to start doing something about our run defense because that will be the death of us. Because when you have a team that will be able to control the ball, control the clock on the ground, we're going to have some issues. Because right now I'm looking at us running into a team who can run the ball, and that's a
Pittsburgh, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. And the other running back from Carolina, those two guys are as good as any two, if not the two best running backs in the league, as far as 4 or 5 yards every time they touch the ball. I think Le'Veon Bell is a special. I think he's a special guy. He's a very patient runner. And when you look at the guys that have been able to run, you look at Rawls and what he did against us. You look at McCoy coming back, and McCoy had been out of he hadn't played in, I think, since the opening game. And, when you come back and you're able to get 5 yards a rush, and being that you've been out 4 or 5 weeks, you're not in tip-top shape. So it concerns me.
And the biggest concern is this. Anybody, LaShawn McCoy can go out and bust 5 yards of carry against anybody. The concern is right after Thomas Rawls, who was playing at Central Michigan last year, did the same thing the week before.
Yes.
So, there's kind of a pattern there, and I think a lot of times, the first game against Oakland, it's a blowout quick. You don't really notice it. San Diego, they had a young guy, Melvin Gordon, but Melvin Gordon ran the ball pretty good against us.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Justin Forsett had a decent game. It seems like every week, and eventually, especially, the thing that scares me is not just a team that can run the ball, because a team that just runs the ball, as long as we can score, we can get them out of that. But a team like Pittsburgh, they can run it and they can throw it. And, that's a huge concern. My biggest concern, I think the weakest part of this team is the linebackers. I think Vinny Ray went down with an injury, which could be a killer right now if he can't come back. I don't know how bad it is. I haven't really heard a whole lot about that. I don't think A.J. Hawks played well. I think Ray Maliuga has played good in spots, but I think overall Maliuga played better last year.
Yeah, he did. He did as a unit. He played well, but as a unit they played well last year. This year, they're not playing proper gap-controlled defense, because every run, you have to understand, every time they run a play, you're assigned to a gap. That's a gap-controlled defense. It's not we're not playing a 3-4-2 gap where you have to pretty much play responsible for two gaps. We're playing the type of defense where, hey, if they're are going to the left, everybody's assigned a certain gap. If the play is to the right, everybody is assigned a particular gap. And we're playing horrible run defense. Our defensive ends are not playing the run at all. They're not playing the cutback at all. Our backside linebackers are over-scraping. Our safety, our free safety, Reggie, that will ultimately be responsible for when there is a cutback, to be that guy responsible for the backside. He's missing tackles. He's not making the tackles. So it concerns. It's going to concern, because when we get into the meat of the schedule, and we have Pittsburgh back at 2 games. We have Cleveland 2 games. We're up in Denver. So we have some teams that are capable of running the ball. And right now we're not a very good run defense. Overall, when you look at overall, our numbers are decent. But you think, hey, we won 34 to 21. Hey, the defense played well. Defense didn't play well. It's just that our offense was so dominant, and which in turn our defense doesn't get as many opportunities against them for the team to do well. And then
when the teams do get the chance, they feel like they absolutely have to score, which puts a lot more pressure on them. And I think E.J. Manuel, I thought, played fairly well in the first half. The second half, though, I think the pressure of the Bengals scoring every time they touched the ball made him rush things. I think it made him force things and took him completely out of the game.
Yeah, and then when you're going into the second half, you got to remember we ran up against a team who injuries were played a vital part. You see Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins had some really good catches. He caught the touchdown at the end of the half, but he was out. He got hurt on the touchdown, and he walked around with the boot the rest of the game. So I think that sort of hurt E.J. Manuel in the second half, because you didn't have that your number one guy. So we've been each week you're looking at us catching offenses. You catching Seattle when they're not playing well. We're catching San Diego when the second game for Melvin Gordon. We're catching teams at the right time. And here now towards the middle of the season, you're not going to keep being fortunate to be 100% because we're 100%. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's able to go. And we're catching other teams with their number one running back, their number one quarterback, their number one receiver out. We put ourselves in. Fortunately, we put ourselves in a good situation, being undefeated, to be able to afford to, get beat a couple times. This is NFL. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to go undefeated this season. But we definitely have to shore up our defensive run attack, and it's just about playing gap controlled defense. It's not like we don't have the guys. Some teams, they don't have the guys. They don't have the personnel. We have the personnel. There's things that we can go and we can fix. You got Benny Ray, being hurt. But if I'm not wrong, correct me on this one, Mike, Burfict is eligible to come off IR this week.
But he's not.
Yeah, well, I haven't. Have you heard anything about
everything I've heard? I do have one person I talked to that works down there for the team. I'm not going to say any names, but I was told that they were looking at the last 4 or 5 games of the season where he could play.
Wow. So yeah, that's a pretty bad. He's in a pretty bad situation because of that microfracture. Because if you recall, he went out halfway through the season last year, and he was only supposed to be out maybe 3 weeks, and he wound up being out the rest of the season and missing the training camp and preseason and half the season. So I think his situation has to be a lot more serious than they're making it out to be because you can come back. You see someone come back with a major ACL injury can come back in a year's time. And for him not to be able to come
back. He's going to be more than a year by the time he comes back, if he comes back.
Yeah. So we'll definitely, I don't know if we're necessarily going to be on the waiver wire or free agent wire looking for some guy. I don't know how seriously hurt Vinny Ray is. But even though I don't think Vinny Ray is playing that well, he's playing a lot better than the other guys who are replacing him.
What's your take on P.J. Dawson?
Well, I in college, I loved him. In college, he was a guy. I watched TCU. You hear you look at how dominant their offense and how they're beating people. I'm just a guy. I watch college football. I'm just a football guy, football fan. So when I watch football, I always gravitate to the linebackers. And at TCU, I'm looking at this kid, didn't know his name, didn't realize it was him until the Bengals picked him. They drafted him. But that guy played sideline to sideline. That guy, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest guy, but that's a Burfict. If you look at Burfict and you made him run a 40 and you made him lift and you made him do some agility drills, you would never draft him. He wouldn't make it in the NFL because he's too slow. He's a kind of pudgy guy, not really a big muscle kind of guy. And he's slow. But the one thing about it, he got to the ball. So I wouldn't be surprised if Vinny Ray is out that they would put PJ in there and to see what happens. He can get in there. I don't necessarily think, like you said, I don't think AJ Hawk is. I think he's just a guy. I don't think he's made any plays or he hasn't put himself in a situation to say, well, hey, the defense is really relying on AJ Hawk. I'm saying here's a young guy. Put him in. See what he can do. And I think and hopefully that he can surprise us. And if he plays anything like he played at TCU, I think the whole entire organization will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, especially if you can get him to play like he did at TCU, and then you get Vontaze Burfict back on top of it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If you do that, then you're good to go. And I don't think the run game's going to be as big a problem anymore.
because
I don't think it's outside of Michael Johnson. I think the defensive line has pretty much done their job. I think the problem with stopping the run to me is, like you said, the cutbacks, which is the linebackers and the safety.
Yeah, we're going when you look at and the thing when you look at Pittsburgh, they run that cutback, that bend back play where they just let Le'Veon read, and then if you over pursue, he's gonna hit the backside. I think our front side defensive control is great. I think our guys hold up well when the flow is coming to going one particular way. I think the front side where the ball is initially going, I think we're holding up. I think Pecco and those guys and Gino and Wallace, I think they're playing solid. Dunlap plays solid all the time. You know, he plays well when you run to him.
Yeah, I think right now he's a Pro Bowler.
Oh yeah, no doubt. He's a Pro Bowler. He'll be in a Pro Bowler, and I definitely if Gino keeps playing the way he's playing, I think he'll be there also. But it's our backside. It's our backside. Our backside guys. That backside tackle is getting cut off. That backside defensive end is going up the field, inverting the line of scrimmage. That backside linebacker is over pursuing. And most of all, our free safety, who's supposed to shore up just when those things happen, and when those three guys are breaking down, your free safety is coming up. And so what? It's a 5-6 yard gain, but you live another day. But when that 5-6 yard gain turns into a 17, 18 yard gain and an 80-yard gain, that's eventually going to hurt your defense. And when you talk about a team like Pittsburgh, what you start doing, they start having you call defenses to bring your safety up. And so now you have 7, 8 in the box. But you can't do that with Pittsburgh because they got two guys that can run past anybody on our team. Yeah. We were.
Well, let's go to this. The Bengals are 6-0. You were on the team in '88 that was 6-0. As we look at the schedule the rest of the way, you get the Pittsburgh Steelers game, which is huge. Then you got Cleveland and Houston at home, at Arizona, St. Louis, at Cleveland. Not the toughest schedule in the world. You're on a situation where, when I look at those 10 games, I think at worst we should be 6-4, which finishes at 12-4. You guys were 6-0, same point. You came out Game 7. You got upset by a New England team that was led by Doug Flutie, I think. What was the difference in that team from the 6-0 start to the 6-4 finish?
I think that the biggest thing, like I said, we went in there the 7th game. I think our confidence level was at an all-time high, and we just didn't execute. We didn't execute well enough to win, and this is the NFL, and at that particular time, you still have to understand we still were the youngest team in the NFL in 1988. When you look at all of guys, the young guys, the ages that we still had the youngest team in the NFL. So we had some pitfalls. We had 4 pitfalls, but even in those, we never lost confidence in our ability to be able to play and beat anybody. I think our offense was rolling. Defense starts to get some recognition, and we I think just our confidence level was at an all-time high. And we had that special thing. Our guys were hanging out, after practice. Our families were sharing time together. So you had that bond. You had the offensive guys rooming with the defensive guys. So it was special, and we knew it was special here. And I'm thinking that these guys are they're on that same wavelength. You look at the left-handed boomer and where he was, and he was becoming the up-and-coming star quarterback and making these great plays, and the no-huddle offense was doing their thing. Now you look at Andy Dalton and what he's doing right now, his 5th year. Not one interception. He's throwing the ball. He's spreading the ball to everybody. You look at '88, Ickey, JB. You know, they were getting the ball. Stanley was getting the ball. You look at Eddie Brown getting the ball, Collinsworth, Rodney Holman, Tim McGee. So, you know, we were spreading the ball. Offense was spreading the ball. Everybody was getting plays called, and then that offensive line, they were playing well. I don't think our offensive line this year is as good as 88, but it's about what you think. It's about your confidence, and I think they're a confident team. I don't see the last 10 games being as easy as people see.
If you look at it, you got divisional games against Cleveland twice. You got Baltimore at the end. Divisional games are always kind of a toss-up.
Yes,
I look at it as you got St. Louis will come here. St. Louis, very good defensive front. They got Todd Gurley running the ball. We're at Arizona, which is a game I think should be a win. I think Arizona's overrated. Every team they've beaten has been a terrible team. The two decent teams they played, Pittsburgh and the Rams, have beaten them. You get the Texans coming here, at San Francisco, at Denver, which Denver I think they should beat. But if you look at this, the rest of the season, you figure we'll probably be underdogs in the Pittsburgh game, maybe at Arizona, and at Denver. Outside of that, those are the only three that I think they should be underdogs. But then again, you always lose one or two games you don't expect to lose, just like you guys lost to New England and Kansas City in '88.
Yeah, you know, and I look at those divisional games as I don't think that we're going to sweep our divisional games. I think at best we should at least split with Pittsburgh. Cleveland always worries me because Cleveland always plays well against us. Baltimore is going to have a chip on their shoulders, but by the time we play Baltimore, I don't know. I think those guys may be packing their bags. You know, depending on how their season. Right now, it doesn't look good for them. I think that Ram defense is going to match up well with us, and we don't know how our defense is going to do against Gurley. If Gurley is in the zone and he's running the way I think he may be running toward the end of the season, that may pose a problem. But like you said, overall, when you look at it, 10 games to go and 6-4, that'll put us at 12-4, which would be a great season.
I think it'll be terrible, Joe, because I think that puts us at a number 3 seed with the schedule that Denver and New England has the rest of the year.
You know what, Mike? I don't think Denver. I think Denver is going to lose at least 4 games. I'm sure Denver is going to lose 4 games. If we look at New England, I think in order to be a number 1 seed, we're going to have to lose no more than 2 games. I don't see New England the way they're rolling. I don't see them losing 3 games. I think we would have to at least go 14-2 in order to get that number 1 seed. So it's going to be tough to get there. But I think if we can at least beat out Denver for that number 2 seed, and you know, we'll have some home games, and then you let the cards fall where they may. You know, an AFC Championship game. But like I said, that's down the road. I think these guys are playing well. I think if we can shore up some of our gap control, backside defense, I think we can be pretty well because our safeties are definitely going to be able to are going to have to be able to play the pass when we're playing the teams like Pittsburgh that can run and pass. I don't think we're going to be able to sneak that safety up in the box because if we do, I think we're going to be taking advantage of because I love Pac-Man. Pac-Man's my guy, but Kirkpatrick, I think Kirkpatrick can get beat. So he's definitely going to have some help.
I think Darqueze Dennard played really well this last game too.
Oh, he played well. And he's a first-round pick, Mike. He's a first-round pick, so he has talent.
Yeah, but if you remember in the 90s, we had a bunch of first-round picks that weren't any good.
Yeah. But when you look at when I say first-round pick, these are guys that on the talent level, these guys have the talent. These guys have the the I's dotted and the T's crossed. When you come to talent, when you come to the ability, but in this league, it's not always about talent. It's about heart. It's about desire. It's about your will. Because when you go out there, Mike, and you have all this talent, and you've been so used to from Pop Warner to high school to college being so bigger, faster, and stronger than guys wherever you're from, and then when you get here, guess what? The guy you're going against is the same size. Matter of fact, he's bigger than you, and then he's faster than you, and to top it off, he's stronger than you. So and when I looked at progression going from high school to college to pros, it was that. Everybody, the more I played, the further I went, the bigger they got, the stronger they got, the faster they got. And I literally seen guys in college who had way more talent and ability than I did, but they weren't able to compete because everybody else was on their same level. And the same thing, it's the same thing in NFL. When you go out and there's some guys that were, hey, I mean, you look at Rawls. I'm sure when we put Rawls, when we played Seattle, Rawls was just a guy. We didn't say, well, hey, we got to stop this. And the kid had almost 170 yards on us.
Yeah, you look at him coming out of Central Michigan last year, nobody even had him ranked in the top 10 running backs.
Yeah. So, you look at guys and you look at when guys are given the opportunity to compete and play on this level and to compete with the best football players on the planet. And their confidence level is there. I don't think Denard's confidence level is there yet. I don't think he's playing with the swag and the pep that he played with at Michigan State. Because
he didn't play that much last year also. And the thing I'll compare it to is this. I mean, cornerback's kind of like quarterback. And the thing is, 1987, Eric Thomas had a really rough rookie season. 1988, Eric Thomas was, to be a Pro Bowl corner.
Pro, yes, yeah, and it was his confidence level. His confidence level, because ET could run with anybody. He's gonna run a 4.43, low 4.3. He can literally run with anybody. But like you said, his rookie year, I remember his rookie year vividly. It was the confidence level wasn't there. He was coming from Tulane. So Tulane went to a JC, Pasadena, and then went to Tulane, and then he's coming here. Now you're competing. You're going against Jerry Rice. You come from Tulane, and the next thing you know, you're facing Jerry Rice. So
and Sam left him one-on-one in an island when the other three wide receivers were at the top, and
right.
So, but that wouldn't have went good for too many corners that ever lived. So.
No, it wouldn't have.
And I'll tell you, looking at Denver's schedule. I'll agree with you because they got to play Green Bay at home next. They go to Chicago, which could be dangerous because if Cutler gets hot. But then they got New England at home. They're at San Diego. They got to play Oakland again. They're at Pittsburgh. They play the Bengals, and they finish against San Diego.
Yeah.
So if their offense keeps playing the way it has been, there's 4 or 5 losses there.
Yes, yeah. And like you said, I think we can beat Denver. I think we can beat Denver. Wade Payton is playing. I know Ware didn't play yesterday. When they have both their defensive ends, Miller and Ware, they're special defense. When they only have one, they're not so special.
So kind of like us.
Look at it. Yeah.
We need Michael Johnson to step up.
We need.
I'll tell you, Wallace Gilberry's played pretty well though.
Yeah, yes. But Wallace, they play Wallace inside sometimes. I don't know whatever happened to the big kid. The big 6'9" kid we have.
Marcus Hunt.
Yeah. I haven't seen him.
I don't know whatever happened to him. Maybe they shipped him back to Serbia and didn't tell anybody.
Right. Get out of here.
Because I'll tell you, I saw him in training camp last year. Everybody was talking about him, but. He was 6'7", and he played like it too. He played high. I mean,
Yeah.
That was a lot of noise about not much there. I think that was one of those guys where they probably saw him at the combine, saw how big he was and how fast he was, and thought that he would be a player.
Yeah, and I think we have to. Jay Hayes has to put some piss and vinegar in Mike Johnson's water or something, man, because he's capable of playing and he's healthy. And like you said, right, last year, unfortunately, he was hurt. So I gave him the fact that, he was hurt last year at Tampa Bay. So, you have to be healthy in order to really have a good season in the NFL. But right now, he's healthy. So he's not making the plays. He's not.
But he got hurt the last game. They took him off the field, remember?
Yeah, okay, that's right.
I don't think it's supposed to be anything serious, but
yeah. But he's not playing up to the level that you and I thought he was going to be playing up to right now. And I think that's the biggest, the most glaring issue that we have. Because if we can get him playing close to the level of Dunlap, those two guys can be special because this is their size. You know, those guys are massive. You know, those guys, Mike Johnson and Dunlap, they have the height, they have the wingspan. You know, they have the speed. You know, so they have the tools. He definitely just has to step his game up.
Well, we're going to have to get out of here because, you know, Dexter Carter wants to come on and talk to Matt about their win, and they'll probably only get like 3 or 4 chances to do that this year. So.
Right. Yeah, we got.
But next week, make sure you don't miss the Bengals weekly show. Bengals are 6-0, playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Huge game. I mean, Bengals can dang near wrap this division up with a win next week. I know, Joe, you've got David Grant from the Super Bowl Bengals from 1988 is going to be on the show.
Yeah, we call him Big Daddy. He was the Big Daddy before the other Big Daddy, but he's a guy that came in on that Super Bowl when Crumeye went down, and he played a hell of a game. He played his butt off, man. He had an awesome game.
And it looks like we will have a Pittsburgh perspective with former Pittsburgh Steeler Pro Bowl offensive lineman Leon Searcy. So we'll have to gang up on him next week.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting, man. I'm looking forward to it.
But, all right, make sure you check out the Grueling Truth Radio Network on Spreaker. You can find us all over the Internet, the Grueling Truth Facebook page. Make sure you go like that. Also, make sure you check out our sponsor, Gridiron Mow, at www.gridironmow.com. So, any final words, Joe?
Well, I'm looking, and I hope with this bye week that we have this week that our coaches and players can look at the mistakes that we've been making on defense and shore those things up. I know just with any little nicks and bruises, my team did have a little nick. But overall, I think we're going to, this week, we're going to get some guys back healthy 100%. We shore up some of the technical difficulties we have on the defensive side of the ball. And to go into Pittsburgh week 7 for us and beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, I think that would give us, a 4-game lead, 3-4-game lead? It'd give us a
3-game lead, but with the tiebreaker be the equivalent of 4.
4, yeah. So that will be huge. And then it's Pittsburgh Steeler week. It's Steeler week, man. So everybody is just going nuts. We're ready. The Pittsburgh fans, they are cocky. They're on Facebook and Twitter talking mess. And I think the Steelers, their team, thinks they're still better than us. And I think we have to go in there. I think we have to smack them in the mouth. I think we have to, dominate them in some phases of the game. And we've got to come out there with a convincing victory and let them know and understand that this is the 2015 Bengals and we're real. And we're on a mission. We're on a mission to get to play that game, the last game of the season, and that's a Super Bowl. So it's a huge week, but I think we're peaking at the right time.
All right, sounds good, Joe. So remember, check for a preview of the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers with myself, Joe Kelly, former Cincinnati Bengal David Grant, and former Pittsburgh Steeler Leon Searcy. So, guys, you've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak. We'll catch you next week.
All right, thanks, Mike.